I have everything I'm supposed to want. I have the house, the husband who doesn't drink or hit me, the grown children who are doing well. I did everything right. So why do I wake up every morning wishing I simply didn't exist? That is a quote from a patient I worked with last year. Let's call her Eleanor. Eleanor was 54 years old. To the outside world, she was the matriarch of an enviable family. She was the woman who remembered every birthday, the wife who had dinner on the table at 6, the mother who smoothed over every conflict before it could even start. But in the privacy of my office, she wasn't perfect. She was hollow. She described a sensation of being a ghost in her own life, a feeling that if she stopped moving, stopped serving, and stopped smiling, she would simply evaporate. She was suffering from a condition that doesn't show up on a blood test, but is fatal to the human spirit. She was suffering from the perfect wife syndrome, and it had led her to a state of absolute emotional bankruptcy. This isn't just burnout. It is an existential crisis that hits women, specifically in their 50s and 60s, often with devastating force. If you are watching this and you feel a tightness in your chest, or if you feel a strange, unexplainable rage bubbling under your surface despite having a good life, this video is for you. This is not about ingratitude. This is about survival. I am Carl Jung. In my years of clinical practice, specializing in female psychology and family dynamics, I have seen this specific pattern destroy more health, more marriages, and more individual potential than almost any other dynamic. The danger here is not that you are doing something wrong. The danger is that you have done everything right, according to a script that was written to erase you. The tragedy is that many intelligent, capable women fall into this trap, thinking they are securing their future, only to find that in the second half of life, the rules have changed, and the payment for their sacrifice is not love, but invisibility. Before we walk through the specific hidden patterns that lead to this crisis, I need to ask you to do something for yourself right now. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. I ask this not for the algorithm, but because we are building a library of resources here designed to protect your autonomy and your mental health. By subscribing, you ensure you don't miss the tools you need to navigate this difficult chapter. And please, stay with me until the very end of this discussion. At the end, I am going to give you a set of specific, uncomfortable diagnostic questions. These questions are designed to pierce through the denial and show you exactly where you stand. They might change the way you see your marriage and your future forever. Now, we need to dissect the specific dangers of this perfect wife crisis. These are not vague feelings, they are identifiable psychological patterns that I see over and over again. The first danger is what I call the transactional fallacy of self-sacrifice. This is a deeply ingrained belief system that many women carry from childhood. The belief is simple: if I am low maintenance, if I have no needs, and if I anticipate everyone else's needs perfectly, then I will be safe and I will be loved. You view your relationships as a bank account where you are making massive deposits of self-sacrifice. You bite your tongue, you compromise on where to live, you handle the emotional labor of his family, you think you are building up credit. But here is the brutal reality I see in therapy: there is no bank. Your partner is not keeping a ledger of your sacrifices. In fact, human psychology works in the opposite way. When you make yourself excessively low maintenance, you don't become precious, you become invisible. You train your partner to view your efforts not as gifts, but as baseline entitlements. I remember a case involving a woman named Sarah. She was the perfect buffer for her husband's stressful career. For 30 years, she absorbed his stress. When she hit 52, she was diagnosed with a chronic autoimmune condition that required her to slow down. She needed him to step up, but he didn't know how. He didn't see a partner in pain. He saw an appliance that had stopped working. He became irritable and distant, not because he was a monster, but because the entire relationship was built on the premise of her infinite utility. She had engaged in a transaction he never signed up for. The consequence is that you reach your 50s exhausted, waiting for a reward that is never coming. Concrete rule: you must never give more in a relationship than you can give with zero expectation of return, because sacrifice without communication is just a down payment on resentment. The second danger is even more insidious, and it is biological as much as it is psychological. It is the somatic scream. For decades, the perfect wife suppresses negative emotions. You don't show anger because it's unladylike or disruptive. You don't show sadness because you have to be the rock. You don't express disappointment because you don't want to sound like a nag. But emotions are energy. They do not disappear just because you swallow them. They go into the tissue. By the time a woman reaches 50, the body often stops cooperating with the charade. This is where we see the explosion of psychosomatic illnesses. I see women with inexplicable migraines, fibromyalgia, severe gastrointestinal issues, and chronic insomnia. This is the body screaming what the mouth refuses to say. I worked with a woman named Patricia who had debilitating back pain. She had seen every specialist, tried every medication. In our sessions, we uncovered that her pain flared up, specifically when her husband retired and was home 24 hours a day, criticizing how she loaded the dishwasher. Her body was physically manifesting the burden of his presence and her inability to set boundaries. The consequence of this pattern is that you lose your health. You become the sick wife, which further alienates you and creates a power imbalance where you are now dependent on the very person causing you stress. Concrete rule: if you do not speak your anger, your body will speak it for you in the language of illness. So you must learn to verbalize "I am angry" before your body forces you to say "I am sick." The third danger is the identity vacuum of the empty nest. This is specific to the timing of life after 50. For 20 years, your perfection had a purpose: raising the children. Being the perfect mother and the facilitator of the family unit was a full-time job that provided dopamine, distraction, and validation. When the children leave, the buffer is gone. You are left alone with your partner, and suddenly the silence is deafening. This is the moment when many women realize they are married to a stranger. But worse, they realize they're a stranger to themselves. You have pruned away so many parts of your personality to fit the role of wife and mother that you don't know what you like, what you think, or what you want. I have sat with women who cannot order off a menu without asking what everyone else is having first. This vacuum creates a terrified neediness. You might start clinging to your adult children, trying to prolong the active mothering role, which drives them away. Or you might look at your husband and demand that he fill this massive void in your soul, a pressure no human can withstand. The consequence is often a late life crisis where the husband leaves because he feels the weight of your unlived life pressing on him, or you leave because you feel you are suffocating, but you have no destination. Concrete rule: you must actively date yourself and rediscover your own preferences separate from your family, because your value is inherent in your existence, not in your utility to others. The fourth danger is the gray divorce blindside. This is a statistical reality we cannot ignore. Divorce rates for people over 50% are skyrocketing. The perfect wife is often the most shocked by this. She thinks, "I did everything right. I kept the house clean. I looked good. I supported him." But often, the husband in this dynamic feels lonely too. He feels he has been living with a role, not a real woman. Perfection prohibits intimacy. Intimacy requires vulnerability, messiness, and friction. If you are perfect, you are a porcelain doll. You cannot be held too tight. I recall a very painful session with a couple, let's call them James and Maria. Maria was sobbing, listing her resume of perfection. James looked at her and said, "I know you did all that, Maria, but I don't know who you are. I've been lonely in this house for 20 years. The danger here is assuming that service equals connection. It does not. The consequence is that you can be fired from a job you gave your life to, leaving you financially vulnerable and emotionally shattered in your 60s. Concrete rule, friction, and conflict are not signs of failure, they are signs of life. So you must prioritize honest, messy connection over the sterile piece of perfection." There is a fifth danger that touches on the unique vulnerability of older women, and that is the trap of financial and emotional infantilization. In many perfect wife scenarios, the division of labor was strict. He made the money, she made the home. After 50, this creates a terrifying power dynamic. You may feel you cannot speak up, cannot leave, and cannot change the rules because you are terrified of financial ruin. You may have let your career lapse or never developed one. This fear keeps you small. It forces you to tolerate disrespect or indifference because the alternative, poverty and loneliness, seems worse. This fear smells like desperation, and it rots the relationship from the inside. Concrete rule, financial literacy, and access to your own resources are not unromantic. They are the absolute prerequisites for a relationship based on choice rather than captivity. Now, we must look at how this escalates. If these patterns are not interrupted, the damage goes beyond just an unhappy marriage. It affects your legacy and your family system. Children are very perceptive. Adult children of perfect wives often carry heavy burdens. They may feel guilty for leaving you. They may see you as a victim. I have seen daughters who refuse to get married because they saw their mother disappear into a marriage and they want no part of it. Or sons who lose respect for their mothers because they only saw servitude, not strength. The health consequences are equally severe. The constant elevation of cortisol from suppressing your true self destroys your immune system, accelerates aging, and affects your cognitive health. We are seeing links between long-term repression, loneliness, and cognitive decline. Your silence is literally shrinking your world and your brain. So what is the alternative? I am not suggesting you blow up your marriage or become selfish. I am suggesting a shift from role-playing to real living. The healthy alternative is a relationship model based on differentiation. This means you are two whole, separate people who choose to walk side by side. It means you retire from the role of manager of everyone's emotions. You let your husband be upset without fixing it. You let your children struggle without rescuing them. You reclaim the energy you used to spend on anticipating needs and use it to build a life that excites you. I have seen women turn this around. One woman, suffering from empty nest syndrome, decided to take a solo trip for 3 weeks. Her husband was shocked. He had to learn to use the washing machine. He had to sit with his own loneliness. When she came back, she was vibrant, full of stories, and less focused on him. Ironically, this reignited his interest in her. He saw her as a person again, not a servant. She stopped trying to be the perfect wife and started being an interesting woman. You must ask yourself, how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered as the woman who never made a mistake, who kept the carpets clean and who never complained? Or do you want to be remembered as a woman who was vibrant, who had opinions, who laughed loud, who had boundaries, and who respected herself enough to demand real love? Now, as I promised, here are the self-diagnostic questions. I want you to close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and answer these honestly in the privacy of your own mind. Question 1. Do you feel a flash of panic or guilt when you sit down to do something purely for yourself that has no productive value? Question 2. Do you secretly keep score of how much you do, versus how much your partner does, and feel a growing bitterness that you never voice? Question 3. When your partner enters the room, does your body relax, or do you tense up and immediately scan their face to see what mood they are in so you can adjust your behavior? Question 4. If you stop doing everything you do for your household for 1 week, would your partner step up with concern, or would they become angry and blame you? Question 5. Do you feel that if you showed your partner your true, unfiltered thoughts and feelings, they would leave you? Question 6. Are you waiting for permission to be happy? If you answered yes to even a few of these, you are in the danger zone of the perfect wife crisis. There is no shame in this. You were trained to be this way, but you are 50 or 60 or beyond. You have paid your dues. You have raised the children. You have kept the peace. It is time to retire from the role of the martyr. It is time to look in the mirror and realize that the only person who can save you is you. The emptiness you feel is not the end. It is a signal. It is your soul creating space for the person you were always meant to be. Fill that space with your own voice, your own desires, and your own life. Thank you for giving me your time today. This is a silent crisis, but we can break the silence.